I read 15 books this year, all of which, well, most of which, with the exception of 2 books, are in, why is this so hard for me to do? Maybe because I piled it up weird. Most of which are in this pile. It's a decent sized pile. Not the amount that I would have wanted to read this year, but hey, life happens, what can you do? And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna talk about them in the order that I read them, talk about star ratings, what I thought about it, and I'm gonna refer to some notes that I wrote in my reading journal regarding each selection. Starting off, not that strong, but still, with Shine On, Bright and Dangerous Object by Laurie Colwin. I remember I got this one in a dollar store haul. I remember thinking, oh, well, the cover looks intriguing, something with a lighthouse. What is the story? How does the story play in? And this book was not that interesting to me. I did underline some lines that stood out to me, but other than that, it wasn't really, I don't even really remember what this was about. The synopsis I wrote was that Ollie Bax is married to Sam Bax, who, oh, before I go on any further, the star rating I gave this was 2.5 stars, which, yeah, it did not grab me. It was not that good compared to other books that I'll talk about in a bit. Ollie Bax is married to Sam Bax, who was killed in a sailing accident. Ollie wanted to divorce him anyway. She didn't really love him. She's dealing with mixed feelings of grief, and while dealing with her emotions, she becomes closer and has this sort of relationship with Sam's brother Patrick. I wrote in a quote here that says, Sam's recklessness and passion may not be as foreign to her as she thought. And then Ollie goes to this music camp to work through her grief, and the last line in my review says, I don't have much to say about this book because it was mid. Like, I still agree with that assessment. I'm so sorry for the weird lighting in here. I can't sit anywhere to where the lighting makes sense, so leaning forward. So yeah, she starts to get closer and closer to the brother, and I'm just like, what's going on? I don't have much to say about this book other than that the story didn't really grab me. I would not recommend it unless you are a fan of short books, which this was a very short book that I finished in like a week, and I know that's long for some people, but what can you do? If I appear low energy in this video, I apologize. I've had a very busy week and I am needing a nap, but I wanted to film this before the sun went down and the lighting got even worse, so we're dealing with it. I can read y'all one of the quotes that I wrote down, which is Ollie saying, I put my lilies in front of Sam's plaque. I didn't want him to rest in peace. I wanted him to bounce around in death as he had in life, fearless, goofy, and fleet. And that's very much summarizes the type of character, the type of person that Sam was. He was always on the move, constantly in the face of danger, despite what Ollie said to calm him down and keep him away from danger. And I think, honestly, like I might have mentioned already, it was a character study of this divorcee that would have divorced Sam anyway. And she's rethinking her life and reevaluating her decisions and where she wants to be. And I feel like that's, aside from the fact that I gave this 2.5 stars, it is a good insight into what grief does to a person, how you come back from that. If you didn't really care for the person that you're grieving, it's still grief. Yep, 2.5 stars. The next book I read was Love and Saffron, a very big jump up from the previous book. This book was amazing, very short, 200 pages. This is about these pen pals that are writing each other. It's set in the 60s. Joan Bergstrom and Imogen Fortier. They are writing to each other because Imogen has a column where she writes about cooking, her life, her travels, and Joan is a very big fan of this woman and her writing. Joan sends a fan letter to Imogen with a gift of saffron and a recipe. They start their correspondence. They open up to each other about their lives and their fears and just all different aspects of life. They have very intimate conversations. There is a sad part at the end, but it lifts up into hope, and that's what I liked about this book, because despite they are best friends, they become best friends through writing, and they even meet a couple times, I believe. Despite the grief that happens in this book, they bond over their friendship, food, and their love for both of those things, and that just is very inspiring. It's a very sweet, cozy, warm story. I gave this one 5 stars. I found nothing wrong with it. It was a perfect pace, the perfect length. I like that it was short because I don't like when books or movies or shows or literally anything. I hate when those are dragged on beyond their capacity to provide any full like benefit or insight into the story. So this is the perfect book if you need a little palate cleanser, if you're looking for something fresh. Maybe you read A Little Life and you need to recover from that. This would be a good book to do that with. One of the good books that you can do that with. So this is very, very good. 5 stars. I just thinking about this book makes me hungry because all they talk about is food, and there are recipes. I think, does this book come with recipes? Yeah, this book comes with a recipe for mussels a la Joan. So it's like Joan's recipe for mussels. So that's really, really good. There is some discussion questions, a conversation with the author, which is really interesting. So yeah, that was really, really good book. The next book I read was The Body by Stephen King. Many of you probably have watched the movie that came out in like 1984 called Stand By Me. River Phoenix and all those actors. Really good, really good, really good story. The book, of course, follows that same story where they find the body. And these 3 kids, these 3 best friends, they are elementary age, about to enter junior high. So they are at that age where they are growing up, and it's a coming of age story where they all hear news of one of the characters' older brothers that there is a body out in the forest of a kid that was killed recently. And there's this like race to who can find the body first. And basically the 3 kids bond the whole way to finding this body. And I find that the juxtaposition is kind of ironic because they are on their way to witness a very gruesome scene, something that's probably traumatizing them, and along the way they're just like skipping around and laughing and singing. I'm just like, do you know what y'all are getting yourselves into? I gave this book 5 stars, and it's not just because I've seen the movie. I saw the movie before I read the book. It's Stephen King, so you know it's gonna be good. Yeah, it's just basically a really good book. Again, I was following the theme because I think I did a video this past year about short books under 200 pages, I think, talking about just very good palate cleansers to deal with. So yeah, this book was really good as well. The next book I read, I'm gonna put a picture of it up here, The Perfect Marriage by Geneva Rose. I read it on my Kindle. I remember I read it for a video, and that book was, I gave it 2 stars. It was not the best quality. The writing was not that good. The story was really good. It's a thriller. It's about this couple, this married couple. I don't know if they're divorced or they're going to get divorced, but the husband was cheating, and they find the mistress ends up dead in the couple's cabin in the woods. The wife agrees to be her husband or ex-husband's whatever lawyer in the court case that is coming up because he is viewed as a suspect in this murder of the mistress. And there is the twist at the end was so crazy. I did like that part, but as part as like the mechanics of the book, like the writing, the certain diction that was used, I did not like it at all. It was not for me. If it was written in a different style, then maybe I would have enjoyed it more, but yeah, it was not for me. I'm not gonna keep talking bad about a book because that's mean and that's not constructive. It's just not good in my opinion. And Geneva Rose's other books might be good, and I'm probably, even from looking through this list, I want to maybe explore her other books that she has. But as far as this one, it was not for me. And I like that it was on Kindle Unlimited because then it was free and I didn't have to spend any money. Yeah, I probably would not buy the physical copy of that book, but I did like the genre though. It was thriller. So that is The Perfect Marriage. And then the next book I read was Of Mice and Men, a classic that many of you have probably read in school before. It's with the characters George and Lenny, and this is set in California in the 1930s. Everyone in California is trying to get work, ranch hands, farmers, you name it. There are some unfortunate incidences that happen in this book that cause George to not be able to be associated with Lenny anymore. And that is very, very unfortunate. Read the book to find out. I gave this book 3 stars. I kind of feel bad for rating it 3 stars because it's a classic, and like classics I feel like should all be rated 5 stars, but oh well. This is lightly annotated because I bought it used. I don't know what happened to my original copy when I read it in school, but I don't know what happened to that. But yeah, this was a decent book. All the dialect English was in this book. John Steinbeck, I know he's written other classics like The Grapes of Wrath and all those. I have not gotten around to reading those yet, but one of my goals for this year is to, and I might make a video on this, is to read more classics, because I would like to be a Rory Gilmore girly and read more classics and be that type of person that talks about classics in the line at a coffee shop. That's the type of person that I aspire to be. So, but yeah, this was another short. Like, I feel like the first few books I read this year were all short because I wanted to get into the groove of reading and reading consistently and reading every day, which I did have trouble with a lot this year. External factors, you know. But yeah, this was a really good classic. I do recommend this as well. I feel like this is a great introduction to classics. It's easy to understand, quite simple to understand the plot. And that is of Mice and Men. Okay, this book. This book. Oh my goodness, this book was a trip. I could make a whole video dedicated to a rant on this book. This book and the Netflix show is amazing. All the Light We Cannot See by... Have I been saying the authors for any of these books? Oops, well, you can see them, so... This is by Anthony Doerr, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but this is set in World War II, I believe. World War I or II, I cannot remember. But we are following two characters, Marie-Laure, who lives in Paris, France with her dad. She is blind, and she often accompanies him at the museum he works at. He works in the treasures exhibit. Treasures? He works in like the treasures exhibit of the museum, and he knows all about this stone called the Sea of Flames. I believe that's what it's called, the Sea of Flames. That there's this legend that goes around that whoever has a Sea of Flames, they become very rich. They have good luck forever. Basically, good things happen to those who wield this Sea of Flames. And there's a very bad man out there that wants the Sea of Flames and will kill anybody, hurt anybody to get the Sea of Flames. Now, we have, I believe his name is pronounced Werner. Werner is an orphan. He grows up with his younger sister. He falls in love with the technology that is the radio. Werner falls in love with the radio. He learns how to deal with the technology of it all, and he loves it. He loves listening to music and just listening to people talk on that thing. It blows him away. He loves being able to hear people that are far away, like communicating, like globalization. He loves being able to hear stories passed around the world. And so because of this talent that he has of building them and fixing them, he is enlisted in the military to track down the resistance using the radio. So keep in mind, he does not have any beliefs politically. He's very neutral. He does not want to be involved in the war, but he is enlisted anyway. These two characters are on opposing sides of the war, as you can probably tell. They find a way throughout this entire book to communicate with each other without ever having seen one another. It's just subtle, but it's there, and they know that each other's perspectives exist and that there's no need for this war. This book, literally, I have highlighted and underlined so many wonderful, wonderful lines in this book. I can probably read you one. One of the lines that Werner hears a Frenchman say on the radio is, "Open your eyes and see what you can with them before they close forever." I'm pretty sure I've said that in a video before, and it shook me. It brought me almost to tears. That is insane. That is an insane line. As you can probably tell, I gave this book, I see that I gave it 4.25 stars. The only reason I gave it that rating was because the whole book, the two characters, Marie-Laure and Werner, they probably meet each other like around this much of the book. This much, like at this page mark is when they meet each other. And there's all this that passes by, and they're just so, it's like the part where they're like so close to meeting and communicating, but it gets snatched away, and for some reason they can't ever communicate like verbally, like directly to each other, and it pisses me off. It's so frustrating. But at the very end, it is so it's like so satisfying, the ending that we get in this book. It is so good. It's satisfying, but it's also heartbreaking. I won't say what happens because I would like you to read this for yourself and find out. Read this and then watch the show and come back to the comments and tell me if you're okay or not, because it is insane. Again, it's my YouTube channel. I might put out a video just talking about this book and series and the actors. Like, it's just... Anyway, I don't want to take up the whole video with this book because this is really, really good. I'm gonna switch it back to 5 stars because I let it marinate. It's amazing. My next classic that I read is The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway. I'm not sure if I read this before or after my Florida trip, where I visited the Hemingway house. I might publish that video soon. I'm not sure. This book irritated the heck out of me because the theme of this book is courage in the face of defeat, as it says on the back. And this book was not satisfying at all. I understand it's a classic in that there are themes that worked back then that they wanted to work now. Nothing bad in this book, nothing like terrible in this book or anything like that. I'm just exaggerating. But the fact that, let's just say the character did not get what they wanted. You can probably guess what I'm saying, but I won't say it. This book, yeah, it's like having courage in the face of defeat, personal triumph won from loss. Okay, but I want personal triumph won from winning. Like, what's the deal? I ended up giving this classic 3 stars because of my dissatisfaction with the ending. Man, I need a glass of water. My throat is getting so dry. Again, very, very, very short book. That was a theme for me this year, and then I feel like the second half of the year I started gravitating towards more big books, which I need to get over my big book fear. Like, I can't be having that. Ernest Hemingway, he has written this and many others, which I want to explore this year as well. I want to branch out and read out of my comfort zone, which is a goal I have for myself, and I hope that's a goal that you have for yourselves too. Comment down below your 2025 goals. I would love to see them and read them. But yeah, The Old Man and the Sea, classic, kind of mid for me in my opinion. Am I dumb for calling a classic mid? Maybe, but I stand firm on my case. 3 stars for The Old Man and the Sea. Okay, this is another doozy of a book that I loved, which is Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton. This gem of a novel is a memoir. I gave this one 5 stars. It is about Dolly. She writes in this book her experiences with love, with heartbreak, bad dates, good friends, and above all else, realizing that you are enough. It is very, very inspiring and a reminder to everybody, especially women, that girlhood is so important. It's so important to have a support system when you are down and out and going through a rough patch. Like, I can tell you, I probably highlighted like 5 things in every chapter. It's that, like, what's the word? Impactful. There we go. That's the right word I was looking for. She is British, so there's a lot of slang in here that went straight over my head. My American self. Like, some of the chapter names are funny, like reasons to have a boyfriend and reasons to not have a boyfriend. Like, that's just funny. If you have something bad to say about this book, what are you doing? Like, what's going through your head when you think of this book? She has like 3 other books out. 2 of them are like memoirs also, I think, and then there's another one called Good Material, I believe, which I really do want to explore her backlog of books. Like, this is just amazing. I really want to reread this year. This is definitely a reread. Also, All the Light We Cannot See, that's going to be a reread this year, definitely. But yeah, Everything I Know About Love, this is also the type of book where you could flip through and just like look for advice, like from a big sister. This is like a big sister talking to you. Like, this is really good. 5 stars, Everything I Know About Love, absolutely. This next one, Lord of the Flies by William Golding, I gave this one 4.5 stars, and this is basically chaos in a book. So these 20-some odd kids, or whatever, it's probably more, they get in a plane crash and they land on a deserted island. The pilots are dead, of course, the pilot is dead. So they're by themselves, so they have to create their own society. They have to adapt to life on an island, not in the civilized world, obviously. I did underline a few lines, like Here, invisible yet strong was a taboo of the old life. Round the squatting child was a protection of parents and school and policemen and the law. Roger's arm was conditioned by a civilization that knew nothing of him and was in ruins. So they are acknowledging the fact that they are by themselves now. They have to govern themselves like they are adults. And that is scary because they're still kids. A lot of these are still kids. So that is very frightening to think about. What I say, I gave this 4.5 stars. I don't remember why I didn't give this 5 stars. The level of violence that is in this book is unimaginable. Like, it's crazy. They separate themselves into two factions because they can't get along, and the leader of the bad faction is like bat crazy. Roger, I think, is Roger the main character? I don't know, but the main character is trying to keep everything together, and it's just chaos spiraling down and down and down. They think there's this monster that's at the top of the mountain where they're living. It's crazy. And the mountain, that's a metaphor. The creature at the top of the mountain is a metaphor for fear, which is they fear what'll happen if they don't lock in and protect themselves. So, Lord of the Flies, classic by William Golding, 4.5 stars. Very short book as well. This book is like 215 pages, so very, very good. The next book I read was Invisible Monsters by Chuck Palahniuk. This book was kind of a fever dream reading because I read it like on and off for like a month. I don't really remember what it's about, so I'm going to read my synopsis that I wrote in my journal. So, Shannon McFarlane finds herself in a sticky situation. She's been in a terrible accident. Her jaw was blown off. I do remember that. She used to be beautiful, and she's not anymore because she got in a terrible accident. Her family situation isn't the best. Her parents are disconnected. Her brother passed away from a disease. This is funny. Cut to meeting the Queen Supreme, Brandy Alexander, who is like this person that she looks up to, this deity, this god that she looks up to. She meets this person in her speech therapist's office because she needs speech therapy to try and talk again. And Brandy promises Shannon a new life identity and even a new name, which is Daisy St. Patience. Daisy finds out that her best friend slept with her fiance, and it's there's another truth that she uncovers near the end of the book, which is a bombshell. It's crazy. I didn't expect it, honestly. A quote from the book: "The only way to find true happiness is to risk being completely cut open." This book was a big fever dream. 3.5 stars. Yeah, it was okay. It wasn't the best book I've ever read, but it was definitely out of my comfort zone, and I'm glad I read it because it's I don't know what kind of genre I would say it is. Obviously fiction, but it was a different story that I'm not used to, but I'm glad that I read it because it gave me like a different lens to look through in literature, and that is something that I did take away from that book. It was very, 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 very impactful and just a crazy story. It was really good though. The next book I read is Diary of a Tuscan Bookshop, and I'm so frustrated because I cannot find it anywhere. I was looking for it in preparation for this video, but I cannot find it, and that is very frustrating. But this book, it's the same vibes as Love and Saffron, except you're not dealing with food this time, you're dealing with books. A bookstore, this woman in Italy, in a tiny village in Italy, she opens a bookstore and it becomes very immensely popular. It's a memoir by Alba Donati, and again, I don't rate memoirs because it's very weird to put a star rating on someone else's life story. And each chapter, it gives a little anecdote of that time as well as Alba's history. The bookshop is located in Lucignana, Italy, a city that I would love to visit one day and go to this bookstore. Alba used to be a book publicist, and she quit that job to fulfill her dream of owning a bookstore, and that is something she's always wanted to do, so she ended up doing it. One of the sentences I wrote in my journal was, "This memoir has such a niche history." She went through COVID, the bookstore went through COVID, the bookstore went through a whole ass fire. It burned down, but they ended up fixing it back up, and that's just goals. That's picking yourself back up. I would very much like to visit it one day, and one of the quotes that I have is, "In his eyes hide the ocean. If you fall in, you'd better be a good swimmer." I think it's when she was falling in love or something. "We are poets, admire us while we live, not after we've died, as we won't be around to notice." And that makes me think of like all the rock stars and artists and just celebrities that have died and they were underrated while they were alive, so they're more rated while they're dead, while they're passed away. But that was a very, very good book. Cozy vibes all the way. Italy vibes, chill bookstore vibes. It's like a Barnes & Noble in Europe. It's really, really good. I love that. Diary of a Tuscan Bookshop by Alba Donati. The next book I read is, and I have it right here, Build the Life You Want by Oprah Winfrey and Arthur C. Brooks. Build the Life You Want. This book, I feel like every 20 something should read this book. It is very, very informative. It is chock full of like ways to enhance your life and to make your life better, to make your life something that fulfills you. Oh, it is very dark outside, but I'm going to film this video if it kills me. I've underlined a lot of lines in this book. It's about like controlling, for example, like controlling your emotions is a big part of this book. There's a whole section on you control everything, not you control your emotions, not the other way around. If you decide you don't want to feel something, you have 100% power to deflect that feeling and to choose hope, to choose positivity, to process your feelings and to turn it into something productive. Something that a lot of people should digest is you don't have to let every single little thing control you. And they refer to it a lot as a transcendental journey. Like on this line it says, pray a little, read a little, let go for a walk outside without devices. The important thing is to start. And I feel like within today's New Year's Day, with New Year's resolutions, honestly, I think they're BS. On the other hand, I feel like the important thing is to start and to write them down, especially, and to start them. Like, what else are you gonna do besides scroll on Instagram and stalk your ex? Like, what else are you gonna do besides that? That's not productive. Go outside, read a book, listen to a podcast, do some yoga. Very, very chill. But yeah, I feel like this is a good book also to flip through and refer to when you need some extra guidance in your life. This is very, very good. It's not that big. Oprah offers some little anecdotes about her life as well that apply to the subject matter. It is really, really good. I strongly recommend. I gave this one 5 stars. And the last memoir I read for the year was Kerry Washington's Thicker Than Water. I paired this along with her audiobook on Spotify. If you don't already, this is not sponsored. I don't have enough subscribers to have sponsors. But this is not sponsored, but I strongly recommend getting the Spotify membership that gives you the podcasts and the audiobooks, because if you're like me and you read on multiple formats, like I have my Kindle, I have physical books, I have audiobooks, because I like to switch from method to method depending on the mood I'm in. It's very, very good to listen while you're reading or just listen while you're doing chores or homework or whatever you're doing. But anyway, this book, Carrie's story was so, like, at times very heartbreaking. She's struggling with her identity. Being a woman of color in Hollywood is incredibly difficult. The constant auditions she would do, the feeling of unworthiness that she would feel, and all throughout the book she alludes to this secret that her parents have not told her entire lives, and she feels that that is the reason for the disconnect between her and her family that she's felt since she was little. And near the end of the book you find out the reason for that disconnect, and honestly I was not expecting it. It leads you into an ongoing discovery that she's having for herself that she's still trying to figure out to this day. As of now, there are no updates on the subject matter, and I hope I find one soon because it's a very interesting topic that she brought up, a very interesting truth that she brought up, so I would like to hear more about it. If you've watched, for example, one of her most prominent shows is Scandal that she's been in, which I watched it in like junior high. I really, really loved it. So if you like her from that, or if you just like her from anything else you've seen her in, just go ahead and read this book. It's a very good book. Again, I did not rate it. Like, one of the quotes that she has is, God was in all things. God was in people and places and situations that took me out of my comfort zone. And yeah, she just refers to God a lot in here too. She refers to God as like this comforting presence in her life, just a sort of figure that's helping her guide her through life. And I thought that was really good too. So, Thicker Than Water. Next up, Hemingway's Girl by Erica Roebuck. This book was a trip. This book was at times chaotic. It was a love story, it was tension, stolen glances, that sort of thing. But it's set in Key West, Florida, and it's set in the 1930s in the Depression, I believe. Yeah, in Depression era Key West. Mariella Bennett, she's the daughter of an American fisherman and a Cuban woman. She's struggling. She knows hunger. She wants to support her family following her dad's death. She bets on a boxing match that she stumbles upon one night. She catches the attention of two men, Ernest Hemingway, world famous author, hello, Gavin Murray. These two men, she attracts the attention of them. It ends up being like a love triangle, kind of. And I don't really know if I like love triangle because it's so often that the girl is the main center of it, and I just don't like it. I really don't. I don't like it. It's just annoying. But Erica made it very soapy, very drama, very good. I gave this 3.5 stars. I can't exactly pinpoint, I don't think, what made me drop it to 3.5 stars, but it was just, I don't know. Wait, did I write anything in here? I'm gonna be so honest. I have book amnesia. I don't remember what causes me to rate books the way I do, unless it impacts me so strongly, like All the Light We Cannot See or Everything I Know About Love. So basically, Mariella ends up being Ernest Hemingway's maid, and so that's like forced proximity. She ends up being so close to him that there's tension, but she also finds herself falling in love with Gavin. So I'm like, girl, pick one, please. And there's a big event at the end of the book that you don't know if a certain character is going to live or die. I won't tell you who, but it is very tension, very chaotic. Hemingway's Wife, 3.5. I would recommend it if you like romance, if you like chaos and love triangle, then this is the book for you. Okay, this is another book that I absolutely adored, The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. I gave 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston 5 stars. Let me tell you why. Do you like time travel? Because if so, then this is the book for you. This book was absolutely outrageously romantic. This is a rom-com where you have a magical apartment. First off, main character, hello. You have Clementine West. She's a book publicist. I find that a lot of women in these novels are book publicists, which is amazing. She has this aunt Analia, who has a magical apartment. She has a magical apartment that time travels 7 years into the past or the future. So it can go either way, but she has like 2 rules for this apartment. Do not wear shoes inside it. Whatever you do, do not even own shoes. First of all, I'm just kidding. She basically says, do not wear shoes inside the apartment, and do not count on anything in this apartment to stay because it can leave at any time. So that's a bit of a warning, like, do not mess with this apartment. Do not mess with it. It's very temporary. So Clementine goes about her life, and then eventually her aunt passes away. The aunt leaves the apartment to Clementine, so she's moving all her stuff in, and one day Clementine comes home from work and there's a man in the kitchen. There is a man in the kitchen, a beautiful man in the kitchen, and she does not know what to do, and of course they start falling in love, but there's a whole lot of time travel that happens. If you saw, I think I vlogged me reading this. I don't know if I said my confusion on the subject, but time travel, if not understood, it is so like irritating. So be sure that you understand it so that you love it. Video idea, I might explain the time travel plot in this book. But yeah, I gave this one, what did I say? 5 stars? Very good. The lines, the quotable lines, the angst, the tears. Honestly, I love this book. The man, whose name is Ewan, he is a chef, so that makes him way more attractive. He is a chef, and he just his love language is food. So that was something that drew me to his character as well. Their story is just very sweet and wholesome. It's the I love you in every lifetime kind of thing, so it's really good. 10 out of 10, The 7-Year Slip. Read it if you love rom-coms and time travel. The last book that I ended up reading in this godforsaken year, Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. In my previous video, I talked about how much I did not like this book, I think, and that still stands true. I didn't even write a star rating. Well, I'm gonna give it like 2.5 stars or 3 stars for me, because honestly, I don't think I like soft academia or whatever this genre is, because it's not dark academia, obviously. It's soft academia, like lighthearted academia, like cozy fantasy is the vibe here. Cozy fantasy is the vibe. It is not fun to read about. It's about fairies, it's about the land of Fae, which in other circumstances I would love, but I need stakes. I need like death and destruction. I need romance and kisses and love. I don't want to read about what kind of tea would you love today? How should we record this in our journal today? Like, that's mean. I'm sorry. Should I cut that out? This book was not it for me. It was way too long, but that's how cozy fantasy can be sometimes. It can be drawn out. I feel really bad, but this book was not for me, but it may be for others that enjoy the genre of cozy fantasy. I just don't find that it's for me. This book is probably going to be about 2.5 or 3 stars. The books are all falling, but that leads me to the end of this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really enjoyed talking about these books. Again, if I sounded low energy or something, it's because this week has been kind of busy. I'm tired. That book is all the way over there. I'm not gonna go get it right now. So yeah, I would have finished a 16th book, but my slow self did not finish it in time. But if you would like to know, it is Ariadne by Jennifer Saint, and the switch up in here is crazy. I'm not gonna tell you what happens. I might do a spoiler video on it, but it is good so far. I'll talk about that one in a future video, but thank you guys so much for watching. I would like to not be so absent this year, 2025. Let's make it a year full of productivity. Let's do some more YouTube stuff. I do want to get more into content creation, but yeah, these are the books I read, and I hopefully want to hit like 20 books, maybe even 30 books would be amazing. Like, I'm not reaching high right now. Like, life gets in the way, you never know. So I'm not gonna have high expectations, but who knows what'll happen. Okay, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I'm so happy for those that stay and watch my videos and like and comment. You guys are amazing. This channel would not work without its people, so it's very, very amazing. I love each and every single one of you, and I hope to read more books with you in the future and vlog them and freak out with you guys. Yeah, let's hope to another year full of great reads. I do want to get into ACOTAR this year, so let's do it. Let's get into it. Let's make things happen. Okay, you guys have a great year, and I'll see you guys later. Comment below what video ideas you want from me. Okay,